All right, I'm back again, and as you can see, it's the daylight's lasting a little bit longer. So now, not only do you get to hear me, you get to see my just phenomenally good-looking face. That's sarcasm. I have two things I'd like to discuss, really. And I have a funny little thought process, or a funny little thought that I'm wanting to mention, a hypothetical, if you will. First, as a result of Donald Trump's talks about making a move on Greenland, parts of Europe are actually sending troops to Greenland, and I'm calling it as a token gesture, because some of these countries, they're only sending one or two troops. But it's still a very interesting turn of events that they are willing to do so against the United States. Like I said, it's just one or two, and I think with the total, I think the United States might have like 150 troops just stationed in Greenland. And I think there's the sum of what all of Europe has sent is less than that, so I don't foresee that going. They would not have much in the way of an effect. So it's a token gesture. That's what I'm going to stick with. But I think it shows how precarious this situation is. For the record, I don't support the idea of dragging Greenland in with the United States. The main reason is I'm kind of in the quadrant on the political spectrum closer to libertarianism, so wanting to just be an imperialistic country and take a country like another country like Greenland is kind of repugnant to me. But I would also mention that Greenland is a little actually on the other opposite end of the political spectrum from me. And the last thing I really would like to have is more people that are in the realm of socialists. That's not my thing. The next thing I'd like to discuss is recently there has been some talk amongst Europe that maybe they need to open the doors to diplomacy with Russia. I am actually a fan of this, not just because of the self-serving reason of there's some things I would like to be able to get out of Russia, and I can't get them directly sent to the United States from Russia. So if we had a friendly country in Europe that was able to, I could get those things through, that would make life a whole lot easier for me. But with all this talk about, if this happens, then I'll bomb this country, if this happens, I'll bomb this country, blah, blah, blah. Having that normalized relationship would help ease those tensions. And that will just move the doomsday clock back a little bit. And I think we really could use a helping of that at this point in time. And it started with Italy right after the Orishnik missiles went off in Ukraine, and they saw just what it could do and how impressive they are. I think Italy was the first to say maybe we need to rethink our strategy, and Germany, I think today, said the same thing, referred to Europe, Russia as being part of Europe and neighbors and everything else. Maybe this is the first step. If we really want to fix things with Russia in the world, I think, and to gain trust, we actually have to have normalized relations. It's pretty much a must. Once we do that and we get those relations going, that will help build trust, so that in the future, when you get your McConnells and your Putins, the Cold War relics, as I refer to them, out of the way, and you get more younger people in positions of power, there will be the opportunity to take that trust and build upon it, because you won't have so much stigma of the Cold War stigma and dogma and everything else. It's a long-term venture, but I think it's one that would benefit the world significantly. With that being said, if Russia does begin, let me backtrack. Another thing that I think is spurring this on is Europe has always had the mindset of, if Russia does anything, we've got the UN, and by UN that mainly means the US, to back us. Right now, they don't have that safety net. A lot of Europe is threatening to back out of, or not the UN, NATO. They don't have that safety net because a lot of countries are saying if the United States goes after Greenland, they're out of NATO. NATO. Well, the United States seems to be wanting to get out of NATO as well. So if NATO goes away, Europe is going to be pretty well on their own. So that's probably a good amount of encouragement. They're trying to do as Stalin did with Germany in the late 30s, and I would say the name, but I don't feel like getting any flack from YouTube. But yeah, that's what Europe is trying to do now, and that was the humorous part about that is, Germany saying we need to have peace with Russia, when before it was Russia saying we need to have peace with Germany. Hopefully some people out there will appreciate that little twist. But now let's get to the humorous part. Russia and Putin, they have the opportunity to do a second or third act, whatever, that would just be absolutely friggin' hilarious. With all this talk about Russia being part of Europe and we need to have normalized relations, we need to build our relationship with Russia and blah, blah, blah. What if Putin offered to send troops to Greenland as a sign of good faith and with Europe and solidarity, European solidarity against the front against or threat from the United States? That would be that would legitimately be hilarious. Because the whole reason Trump is saying, we got to go in and take Greenland, is because Russia, we can't let Russia and China have it. Well, what if this actually drives Russia or puts Russian troops into Greenland? Wouldn't that be hilarious? I mean, it's absurd to think about, and if someone had mentioned that before today when I saw that from Germany, I would have rolled my eyes and thought they were, batshit crazy. But with the talk from Germany, Putin doing that would be the single biggest boss-ass move I think he could do. It's to come out and say, we want to have relations with our European brethren. We want to put the silly Cold War angst behind us, and in order to do so, as a sign of good faith and goodwill, we're willing to send X number of troops to Greenland if they are willing to accept our gesture of fraternity, if you will. And in that one move, Putin could take and turn everything around to where Russia and the BRICS nations would actually be protecting Europe from NATO. Well, the NATO nations, which at that point would be just the United States, because everyone else would bail. Just in the... Literally, it would be like flipping a switch. And I think that would... I mean, it would be sad on the one hand, because the United States would officially be labeled the bad guy, the new Soviet Union, if you will, the new Russia. The United States would be pretty well ostracized. We've done a pretty good job of pissing people off, especially with these tariffs. So if this were to happen, the United States would be the new bad guy, officially. I'm pretty sure a lot of countries already are feeling that way and have for a while. But would that make Russia the good guy? And I'm actually interested to see how the world and how the news media would paint Russia if this were to take place. That's a legitimate curiosity of mine. Anyway, I have rambled on quite a bit. I'll have some links down in the description below. What are your thoughts on the matter? Do you see Europe settling, or at least trying to settle their differences with Russia? If they do, how would that affect the United States standing with Europe and the world in general? That's something to consider, isn't it? Later.